Kia ora koutou katoa, no mai hara mai ki te Ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, te kore mako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 94.8 FM. We have a really special guest with us on the show this evening. He's one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet, the heart and soul of his community. He's passionate about people and well-being, and he's the current Pou Whakahaere Pūmanawa Tangata Tui Ora, and volunteers his time within the hauora space with Taranaki Toa. I am Māori and ride for Tale. I am super stoked to have him on the show here with us. No mai hara mai, Alf Robson. Kia ora, bro.
Kia ora, bro. Good to be here.
Awesome, brother. Hey, awesome. Great to have you here with us and to kōrero about all the awesome stuff that you're doing within our community. But before we get started, ko waikoe, no he koe, a bit about yourself and where you're from.
Ko Taranaki te maunga, ko Waitara te awa, ko toko maru i te waka, ko Ngāti Tama te iwi, ko Owai te marae. So born and bred Waitara, and I guess growing up in a sporting town like home, did a lot of things. Mum and dad were pretty active sports people. Mum was an all-rounder, golfer, netball, softball, and dad was a rep bowler, and he pretty active sports people in their own right. You know, whole family played sports. Soccer was probably my game growing up, but being actively involved either in sports administration, sports management, and hauora Māori kaupapa for a little while now.
That's awesome, man. Awesome to see you come from a whānau of heavy involvement within the sporting community. So you mentioned softball there. What kind of part has softball played in your life and you know in previous times and recent times as well?
Oh, from very humble beginnings, like softball was a pretty big sport when we were growing up as kids. So out of Waitara, you know, really softball, like rugby league, softball was a sport that was played a lot by Māori, and my other mates were playing cricket, and so softball had a pretty big presence, particularly in Taranaki and in Waitara. So club sports. Grew up as a young fella playing sports, then playing softball in junior grades. Played representative provincial softball. It was never as good as my mates Bevan and Jared, but from a young age, I guess, both playing reps, but also as a young person in sports administration. So being roped into committees and stuff early at a young age, and then having a pretty active interest in the sport right from juniors through to softball, and then getting an opportunity to manage the Junior Black Sox New Zealand national junior men's side for the last 4 World Cup campaigns. So yeah, it's been a pretty big part of my life.
That's awesome. I remember actually as a young fella just how big softball was back in the days there. I remember out at Hickford Park, some mass crowds back in the day. So it'd be lovely to see the game back in full force back here in Taranaki at some stage. But Taranaki Toa. So this is an awesome kaupapa here that you're a massive part of. What is Taranaki Toa's foundation, and what was the catalyst in creating the space for our community here in Taranaki?
Yeah, I think what happened, you know, maybe I think it's about 12 years ago now. So, Taranaki Toa was created really to create an opportunity for an inactive whānau to get active. And really it started with me, and a bit like the Match Fit program, bro. There was having grown up in a life of playing sports actively all the time, right up until retirement, and then like you saw those guys, I became one of the guys that started packing on weight after retiring from sport, and then all my health markers starting to go south. But it wasn't just about that. It was also observing and watching our own whānau passing away too soon. So having uncles, aunties, and whānau, you know, passing away before they turned 60. And really it was people recognising that Māori are significantly or massively overrepresented in poor health statistics, particularly later in life. So things like, you know, like I say, obesity, heart disease, diabetes, all those things that have been robbing whānau of their life expectancy, really, which means our kids and our mokos are growing up without parents and grandparents, uncles and aunties. So that was probably the motivator at the time. And I guess I sort of got inspired by the Iron Māori kaupapa because I saw Heather and the team over there were trying to make a difference and creating, and I guess triathlon was the vehicle that they used to get people off the couch. And I got that experience, and I think initially I'd approached Howie all that time ago with the intent of bringing Iron Māori to Taranaki. So and I'd reached out to Heather and said, hey, look, our people really need a kaupapa like this at home. And she said at that time, hey, look, happy to bring it to Waitara on the proviso that you do it. And I went, geez, that wasn't the plan. I didn't want to do it. I wanted other people to do it. And I couldn't swim and I couldn't do any of that stuff. So that was the ultimate backfire at the time, but actually probably the best thing that ever happened to me. So that was the background to that.
What a special and powerful kaupapa, and I'm sure, you know, over that time it's helped so many lives. And even right now, so you're doing some awesome mahi at the moment. You're helping train about 40-odd whānau prepare for Iron Māori this weekend in Ahuriri and Napier. So how has the preparation been for that?
Well, it's been really good. Like, again, people, what's cool about the kaupapa is it's about participation and completion rather than competition, or else, although we've got a couple of competitive buggers in the crew, as you could imagine. That's who we are. But the prep's been really good. It started back in March, so sort of assembled about 35 whānau, and a lot of them are prominent whānau through Taranaki, our leaders, and really that was important because, you know, some of that was about, you know, as leaders in our spaces, we can tend to invest so much time in others that we forget about our own hauora. So really it was about recognising that and actually doing something to lead by example for whānau. So hey, you know, we've got all this stuff happening. We're all busy people, but actually extending our lives is as important a job as we have for our whānau and our community. So, and showing a way to do that is pretty important. So from humble beginnings, and the cool thing about it was I could relate to the journey because I couldn't swim. I hated running. I disliked running. I hadn't rode a bike since Waitara High School, and you know, all those inherent fears you have about embarking on a journey like that all come to the fore. You know, like in you know, from those beginnings, a lot of the crew now are pretty well positioned to be able to punch out a quarter Ironman next week, which will be, you know, see them swimming in the open water out in the ocean, 1 kilometre, biking 50k, and then jogging or walking out 10k next Saturday morning.
Well, that's awesome. You hit home there with some of your kōrero around, you know, for some of our people out in the community that help organise kaupapa and do things in the community. They've actually got to look after themselves too, because you can't do all that other stuff if you're not well yourself. So awesome kōrero whānau. For those listening in at home. So now I understand the event, it's huge now over in Ahuriri. But I understand they have, like, is it different grades or different? So they have a kaumātua grade, tamariki, rangatahi, different courses, is that right?
Yeah. So it is a full whānau kaupapa. So they have our rangatahi tamariki event on the Friday, and Kaumātua also out on Friday, and then the 1.5 Ironman are away on Saturday morning. So it's a big weekend, and it's a really cool kaupapa to be in amongst, and to be able to share a journey with like-minded people who are really wanting to make a difference in their lifestyles. So it's cool.
That's great. So how do people get involved with Taranaki Toa and I Am Māori? Like, are they too late for this year, but maybe how can they get involved?
I think like we've got a public Facebook page, so you can just look that up on Facebook. That's probably the key point of contact, and then and most of the messaging goes through that platform, and really it's an open opportunity. You don't have to be Māori to be part of Taranaki Toa. In fact, some of our best and most loyal members are non-Māori, so but they fully embrace the kaupapa. So come one, come all. I guess in saying that, our target audience is clearly Māori, because we want to make a difference to the whole landscape for our people. And like I say, I think the life expectancy for Māori whānau is 7 years less than non-Māori. So I guess the hope is that an effort like this will play a small part in improving holiday outcomes for whānau.
Well, there we have it, whānau. For those that want to get involved with Taranaki Toa and I Am Māori, make sure you go onto the Facebook page and have a look in there and get down and get running, get on the bike, go for a swim. Yeah, geez, you've made me want to get involved now, Alf, amongst all the other things. I'll try and find the time, but we have an awesome kaupapa and ride for Tālei. Now, this is a special kaupapa to raise awareness for cervical awareness. Now, I understand you're a part of this kaupapa. Do you want to give us a little bit of kōrero around this awesome initiative?
Yes. So again, I guess that was consistent with hauora for our people. So it wasn't hard for me to want to engage in that kaupapa. So the background to that is Tālei Morrison. She was a staunch kapahaka performer at Te Matatini, really well known in those circles, and unfortunately she lost her life to cervical cancer back in 2018. I guess before she passed, she wanted to really lift the awareness of whānau, particularly wahine at that time, to get these cervical smears done, recognising that early intervention could have potentially saved her life. In early intervention, if we get our wahine to do those checks, we'll save lives. So that kaupapa really was about honouring the legacy of Tālei. So really, I think the initial kaupapa was about getting all our wahine that were performing at Te Matatini to get their smears done before they went on stage. I guess the ride for Tālei was actually promoting the importance of that messaging. So in the first ride, I rode from Ngamotu down to Wellington, to Te Papa, to the Pohuri, and I joined the crew from Te Arawa. Tui Ora brought down the big team from Te Arawa, and we stopped and promoted that messaging all the way to Te Papa, and we were hosted by whānau and marae and hauora organisations all the way down, and really it's about that. So since then we took the modi of that kaupapa from Wellington last year, and a group of us, about 16, 18 riders, rode from Te Papa through to Orake, to the Pohuri up in Orake, and again we took that kaupapa all the way from Wellington, stopping at places all over the North Island to promote that message. And it was cool. We were hosted by Kohanga. We stopped at Manukura. We stopped at Marae. We stopped in Taihape, Tokoroa, Taupo, Huntly. We went and seen the Leaguey boys up there. Yeah, probably 10 to a dozen stops, just carrying the importance of getting those hauora checks done. Next year, we do the same. I guess there's been a shift too in terms of balancing the importance of getting health checks done, not just for our wahine, but for our men too, for our tāne. I guess that became increasingly important because Tui Ora, who was leading this kaupapa, has recently recovered from prostate cancer. So again, his messaging is pretty powerful about the importance of getting those checks done to prevent what can often be avoidable deaths from cancer-related or cancer-related disease. So it's going to be cool next year. Next year we go. So I can talk a little bit more about the plan if you like, bro.
Yeah, no, if you could, I understand there's 16 of you that will be riding from Ōrākei to Taranaki just prior to Te Matatini, is that right?
Yeah. I think the numbers, we're still locking down the final numbers, but we will be going, the week before the pōhiri happens here in Taranaki, but our ride will take us from, I think on the first day we ride from Ōrākei to Waikato. So I think we're going to get hosted by Waikato University. Then I think we've got a couple of scheduled stops at Te Awamutu, Otorohanga, possibly Pio, and then hoping to have an event at Owai. Then again, we're still finalising the details, but then our kaupapa is planning to take this or take the message all around the maunga. So we're going to Ngamotu, Opunake, Ohawe, Pātea, Hawera, and maybe Whakahurangi or Inglewood, and then finish at the pōhiri on the Monday morning.
Awesome. So how can people get involved with this kaupapa?
What's involved?
Well, how can people get involved and support the kaupapa?
I think really what we'd like to see is maximise the number of people that can come to the events. So we'll try and get some comms out and about when those events are scheduled. And really it's about encouraging whānau to come and, to hear the message and also perhaps people want to share their story, clearly, if you ask people to raise their hand about who's been impacted by cancer, in any wānanga, a lot of hands go up. So it's an issue that's impacted a lot of whānau. So really we just want to get that message out there as far as we can, and get as many whānau as we can to come and listen in and hear the stories.
It's awesome, bro. Hey, Alf, it's been an absolute privilege to have a kōrero with you and hear some of the amazing mana-enhancing, hauora uplifting mahi that you and the whānau are doing and that you're engaged with. Thank you for all of the amazing mahi that you're doing out there within our community. It doesn't go unnoticed, all the hard work and dedication, and we're truly grateful. Wish you all the very best at I Am Māori this weekend in the Ride for Tāle kaupapa. And look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Ka pai. Thanks, bro. Thanks for the support. Ngā mihi.
Ngā mihi, brother.